What do your customers love so much about Fareway Meat Market?
We have the best-in-class meat department. Our customers can request a custom cut of meat any way they like it. Seriously, we have the best meat in town. It's not even a contest. Stop on down to your local meat market. We'd love to see you.
Chris Williams, Chris Hassel. Two guys named Chris. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Iowa Everywhere.
Channel Seed. Seedsmanship at work.
Hello, welcome to Two Guys Named Chris here on Iowa Everywhere.
Jesus, what the hell is wrong with you?
This wasn't a wet cough.
Two guys named Chris. Iowa Everywhere.
Hey, cut me some frickin' slack. It's like 100 below out there. I got kids running around. Nobody's got school.
What is
Cut me
it
some
really
slack.
there? What is the weather today?
I want to say today is like 20 below. Matt can look that
You're
up.
kidding me.
Yeah, it's frickin' brutal out there. Amber
Oh
did
my God. And look,
minus 29.
And look where I'm at, folks. I'm right down there, the only part of the country where it is in the 70s. I just got done taking Pup to the park, wearing short sleeves out there. You guys are fucking crazy.
Sickos, man. I wouldn't want it any other way. I love this shit. You know what's funny to me? Is how like guys our age, probably not you. I can't see you being like this. You're not cool enough. Like you and Bloom aren't like this. You just hire somebody or make your wife go do it. But whenever we have the excuse to get out the snowblower, it's straight like Tim Allen, more power.
Listen,
Love firing up that snow, just blowing the shit out of that snow all over the place. It's a fantastic feeling.
when I lived in Connecticut for about 5 years, I liked it too. I loved my snowblower. Loved it. I'd fire that thing up. I've got pictures of me rolling on that thing. I had it was a Husqvarna. It was like
nice.
I mean,
Good choice.
it was top of the line, man. Top of the line.
Deers are top of the line. I got the John Deere.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure. I went through Consumer Reports. I looked at.
Of course you did. Fails got to you, didn't he? Fails is a big consumer report
I use
guy.
his account.
That's hilarious.
Andy Fails at AOL.com.
That's so funny that Consumer Report gets brought up and we both go straight to Fails. Anyways. My
it's
drive
not still
is
snowing though, is it?
smooth. No, it's finally stopped that crap. It's chilling out now. The wind's calming down a little. It's still windy, but it's not like it was. After that game on Saturday night, so they had to push that thing back, right? Because Oklahoma State couldn't get to town.
Uh-huh.
The roads were horrific. They pulled all like patrol off the roads because the wind was so bad. And it was also like 20 below. So like even if they're putting down salt and stuff, it doesn't really work from what I understand because it was just so cold.
Look, I got a little taste of it. I was in Kentucky over the weekend and it got down to, well, it was 55 when we landed on Friday. It was 35 that night and windy. And then it was 15 by the time we left.
You poor bastard.
It was horrible. It was just, I don't know what you guys, I say this probably 10 times a year. I don't know what you guys are doing living in that shit. I don't get it. Whether it's the winter or the summer, it's horrible. There's no, like the sweet spot lasts like a month of the year. That's it. Either it's just hot as the blazes and humid as F, or just horribly. The difference that Iowa has that I noticed and I've said this before, but when I moved out to Connecticut, we would get these huge snowfalls. And it would get cold. It would get hot. It would not get nearly as hot, and it would not get nearly as cold. And it's the wind that is the real difference in Iowa and in that area of the country. The wind is what absolutely kills you.
Are you done bitching?
Look, I'm not. I'm just sad for you guys because I have to hear
Perfectly
you guys
content living in
bitch
Iowa.
all the time. I really don't
content.
think you are because I've heard nothing but bitching from everybody these last few days.
I hate this bastard.
But I'm good, man. I can look out, see my pool. 69 degrees right now,
I'm gonna
brother.
be invading that pool.
No, you're not.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna swim naked in it.
Not going to happen.
Might even take a dump in it.
We don't allow nakedness in that pool.
The old baby Ruth at the bottom of the pool. One of them bad boys.
Hey, your governor's invading our state today.
Yeah, DeSantis, or as my dad calls him,
Caucus.
DeSantos.
The Cox, baby.
Caucus?
Yep.
Caucus
We got
Day?
Caucus tonight.
Rock out with
Yep.
your caucus out.
So last time it was a total disaster when you guys had
my
caucus.
God. Just
You,
horrific.
you guys screwed it all up. This time, no one's even going to show because it's so damn cold.
I don't know why we do it. We just need to have a primary like everybody else. Like it was cool 40 years ago, but like I just
Remember we caucused together last time, Williams? You and
yeah. Do you have I ever told you the story of SEC Tony when we caucused in
me? Names?
yeah.
I think
Who the
I-
hell is SEC Tony?
He's one of my best friends. He's a huge Bama fan, and I call him SEC Tony. It's his alias.
Okay.
It's freshman year. We're caucusing up at Iowa State, and this was the year this was the year that Howard Dean did
Yeah.
that year.
I think you've made that noise at least 4 times already in this show.
Anyways, we're in this giant hall up at Iowa State. We're students. We're freshmen there, and we had never caucused before, so we're just kind of like wanting to see what the hell's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's thousands of students at Iowa State in this caucus, and you have to like get into a bundle. Or you got the sound here, Matt? Let's listen to Howard Dean.
Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
I like that. So we're there, and we noticed that nobody's in line for the Reverend Al Sharpton. Nobody is caucusing for him. He's the only candidate without, because the caucus, it's like everybody goes up there and they got to give like a pitch for their candidate, and then you hope to recruit others
That is
to come and
so
join you.
stupid.
It's very stupid, but this is how it works. So I'm like, Tony, you should caucus for Al Sharpton. He's like, what am I going to say? Well, we cooked it up. So Tony goes up on the stage. Again, thousands of students. You have a microphone. This is unlike any caucus that anybody around here is going to go to, where it's just like your neighbors or whatever. And SEC Tony gets up on the stage, and he goes, Al Sharpton, why the hell not? And he drops the mic, and he walked off the stage.
It's a good
Al
tagline.
Sharpton.
Probably should have
Sharpton
used it.
did not win.
So,
Real quick. No, go ahead.
are you caucusing tonight? You guys
No.
getting out there in the cold?
I'm not going out. No, no.
Wink, you caucusing tonight?
No.
See, I just outed both of
Well,
you assholes.
well, it's the
I
Republican
just
caucus.
outed both of you as
not
being
hiding anything.
snowflakes.
I'm not
Being-
a Republican. I'll admit it. I'm not a Republican. I'm not.
Oh, gee, man, Wink, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can.
Now,
They won't
half
let
the
you.
people hate you. Half the
You have to be a
people.
registered. You have to be registered Republican or independent to caucus.
You just ruined all the credibility that you had because now people know which side you're on. You can't do that. You were just starting to turn the corner. You were just starting to turn that corner. And what do?
You follow
Turn
me
your
on
mic
Twitter,
down
you'll
one
understand.
teeny tiny little smidge.
Me? You want me to turn my mic
You're
down?
Just a
overmodulating.
smidge.
I have not touched my mic volume in a year. So this is not a me problem. This is a you guys problem.
It's your new computer problem, probably.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
All right. Let me see here. Wait.
So that's
Is it going down? Is it going
Can we
down?
get like an Eminem mic check?
A mic chickadee check. A chickadee check. Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. Is it better now?
Yeah,
Bare Naked Ladies.
Yep. See, one Hawkeye Pride says, "Yep, not a Statty fan anymore." See what you
Matt's
do? You
just
eliminate
losing-
half the audience.
Losing fans left and right.
By the
On
way,
that note-
Highland Ranch. Thank you for noticing. The metal straw has been gone since Christmas because my mom got me some silicone straw implants. It's a silicone straw, doesn't make any noise, doesn't clang around anymore. Thank you to my mom.
Thanks, Mom.
All right, now you can
So-
move on and do whatever the hell you wanted to do next, William.
Well, I wanted to thank our sponsor, Fareway Meat and Grocery, and also note that we are in the Channel Seed Studios. The seedsman, actually, I saw a picture where it was like 50 below or whatever it was of some farmers still feeding the cows. God bless them. They're
God bless those guys.
doing the Lord's work out there. Jeez, they still got to eat. These cows don't stop eating because it's cold out. We had a wild weekend. We had this Washington coaching search that kind of took center stage on Sunday. We had a literal perfect weekend for men's and women's basketball teams in the state of Iowa, which was cool. That didn't happen.
The
very
immaculate weekend, pointed out by Statty Van Wink.
Yeah, and I believe all the wrestling teams won as well. So literal perfect weekend in the state of Iowa. Look at that.
Crazy.
So that's great.
And most teams played twice. Some of them played ranked teams. I mean, you had Iowa women's basketball beating a top 15 team. Iowa State beat the number 2 team. Iowa State women beat 2 top 25 teams,
Including the number 4 team that they had no business beating in the odds makers' eyes. Yeah, just a really great weekend. We've got NFL playoff games today. We have 2 of them, which will be fun. Get to that.
Yes.
We'll start with the Matt Campbell Washington connection that I don't ever even know if this was. I don't think this was a thing.
There
ever.
was a fleeting moment where Cyclone Larry was getting ready to tase his own nutsack when Iowa State fans thought, oh my God, everyone else is out of this race. If old boy down in Arizona doesn't take this job, it's going to go to Matt Campbell. Luckily for you, didn't happen.
I did a lot of reporting on this for my subscribers this weekend. I don't know how. Campbell was in Ames all weekend recruiting.
But again, as
You
you,
can do a
well know, you
Zoom
don't
call.
need to go anywhere
No.
to lock up a job.
The one thing I don't think most fans realize anymore, the days of like formal interviews are behind
Following
us.
planes.
Yeah, they
Because
don't. You don't do
I don't
that
know
anymore.
the story here, but my guess is Jed Fish locked that thing up on the phone and then flew there.
Correct.
I don't think he flew there and it was still up in the air.
And all of these coaches want to be able to deny that they were ever interested in it because they don't want it to look like they weren't good enough to get a job. And vice versa, all of the schools want it to look like they got their number one guy. They don't want it to, well, he was our 4th choice, but we had to settle for him. Like you're trying to avoid what
Right.
Tennessee had happen with, all that stuff a few years ago. So it really is hard to tell. And it's like, there was a report that Campbell, quote, interviewed, but like, what is an interview? Is a phone conversation an interview? Is I don't know. I mean,
is that necessarily a bad thing? I remember a good friend of mine told me a long time ago, take every interview you get. If they're willing to sit down and talk to you, take it. It's a learning experience, even if you're not even interested. Just do it. It will help you out down the road. And I think that's pretty good advice. Like, I've taken some interviews. I'll be honest. I don't know that I would have come down to CBS Sports HQ and talked to them had I not gotten that advice. Because I had all kinds of time left on my contract. I was still going to get paid. I was looking for more of a play-by-play route. But I came down, kept an open mind, loved the people I met, loved the opportunity, and then really loved the offer.
You rich son of a bitch. Yeah, so I don't know. I was kind of on this story from like Friday afternoon on, and I never felt like Matt Campbell was going to be the head coach at Washington. But you know how Twitter goes, and people start to.
And I didn't even give it a thought until all these other coaches started dropping out. Well, all the coaches from Kansas.
I think that Matt probably did talk, like, just at the very least talk. But again, like, this athletic director's from Iowa.
Sure.
I don't know. It wasn't a big deal to me, but man, Twitter kind of lost its mind, and understandably so. There's a picture of Troy Dannon right there, the athletics director at Washington, formerly at Northern Iowa. He was with the Iowa Girls Union, I want to say, 20 years ago or something. So he's got I think he still has a house in our state too. So Troy's a good guy.
It's funny how this Washington deal touched both Iowa and Iowa State.
Yeah,
with the Campbell rumors at the end and all the, ridiculous fake hope that Ryan Grubb was somehow going to come back home to Iowa to be the offensive coordinator, which would be an all-time terrible decision. That was never going to happen.
People really thought that was going to happen. Like, honest, like
I think most people were just hoping against hope and like, oh my God, wouldn't it be just incredible if this guy just wanted to be home more than anything else? But I do know that some people thought this was real. Like, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he want to come back to Iowa? Why wouldn't he want to be the coach in waiting? Well, this guy, he was making $2 million as the offensive coordinator at Washington, where he was given carte blanche. He could do whatever he wanted. He could have this high-flying offense. He went to the national championship game. Now his head coach gets a promotion to Alabama, where worst case scenario, you will be the offensive coordinator at Alabama making even more money.
In a place where the cost of living's like half of what it is in Seattle.
You think this guy is even considering ruining his career by taking the offensive coordinator job under Kirk Ferentz, where he doesn't get to do anything? No. It was never going to happen. It was never in the cards. The only way Iowa could have gotten him is if they made him the head coach.
Could you imagine Grubb going from that offense at Washington, or the whole score as many points as possible, to his first meeting with Ferentz and the offense? All right, now we want to play to our punter. Okay.
Sit him down with punting coordinator Carl Pepper.
If it's 3rd and 4, we're just going to hand it to the running back up the middle, and we're going to hope, if he gets the first down, great, but if not, punting's fine.
And not only would that just be miserable for Ryan Grubb, it would also just totally throw his career out the wayside. I mean, you go and you be the offensive coordinator at Iowa, you think that you're still going to be on the trajectory that he was, or even close to that. All of a sudden, you're untouchable. Now, some Iowa fans would think, well, just if you just promise him the job in a couple of years. No. I mean, come on. You think this guy's going to be the offensive coordinator for 2 years? And then...
Well, that's the problem. If you come and be a coach in waiting at Iowa and you're an offensive coach and your offense still sucks.
Yes. Then fans are like,
why are we giving it to this guy?
Yeah. Now, I am surprised that Washington didn't offer him the head coaching job. I'm surprised Troy Dannon didn't do that. Now, I'm wondering how much of that has to do with the fact that he's brand new and he wants to make his big splash, to get his guy in there. At first, I was really disappointed and thought it was a really bad idea because you just had your best season in over a generation, 30 plus years. The only way you're going to keep any kind of continuity is by keeping Ryan Grubb, by promoting him. So you're going to keep the style. You're going to keep some of your best players. You get rid of him, you're starting all the way over. And they go after Jed Fish, who just had a great year at Arizona. But Van Wink, why don't you go to Jed Fish's Wikipedia page? Pop that up for us. Show us all the stops that
Big
he's been
Wikipedia
on.
show here. We love Wikipedia.
Oh, we know Wikipedia. Look, our college professors wouldn't let us use it. I don't care.
It's two guys named Chris approved.
So this guy hasn't been any one place for more than 2 years.
He's a job hopper.
All the way back to 1997. The longest stop he had, looks like he was with the Ravens for 3 years.
He was at the PK Young Developmental Research School in Florida as the defensive coordinator.
Look, I'm not saying this guy isn't a great coach. I'm not saying this guy isn't going to win some games with Washington. I don't think he's long for the job. He's a Florida guy, went to school there. As soon as that Florida job opens, he's probably going to be the number one candidate. He's probably going to go. Okay? So that was my first thought. But I'm willing to admit when I could be wrong. Here's one thing that I'm not sure we think about enough this day and age. You're not just hiring a coach. You are also probably getting a lot of his former players. And Washington had a bit of a rebuild on their hands. I mean, they were losing everybody. All of their key players, for the most part, they were losing, either to graduation or to the NFL. This is probably the quickest way to get a good team for next season, because Fish is probably going to bring in some of his amazing talent that he had at Arizona.
This is great for Iowa State because Arizona was one of the few teams that'll be picked ahead of them in next year's Big 12.
Yeah.
So they're done. They're going to go from being picked like 3rd to 14th or whatever it is because they're going to lose so much from this.
You would think, right? I mean, you would think that this guy's going to bring his guys with him, just like they bring their assistant coaches. Now they can bring their players. And so maybe Troy Dannon was thinking about that too.
I also think with Troy, this is a brutal spot for him. Let me explain. He's only been there like 3 months. And the problem now for him is every Washington fan is going to completely judge his tenure on this one hire that he makes 3 months into the job. There's a perception sometimes when you just hire the coordinator that it's like a lazy hire and that you could have done more.
Yes.
The people I talked to out in Washington over the weekend were telling me that their fan base probably has a higher view of what it is compared to what it actually is nationwide. Like they view themselves as like a top 10 program, which in this last year they were for sure.
They just played for the national championship. Well, you go out there, Williams, and you see what they have out there.
Yeah,
that's why I said I hope they don't get Matt Campbell on a plane to visit, because you get somebody out there, and I think that would be tough to turn down because it is incredible.
Well, I guess my point is with Troy, if that is the case, people are going to judge him off of this one hire, no matter what else he does. This is it. And he tried to make a splash as opposed to, promoting the guy who. So that too, I don't know. All I know is this: switching coaches in the middle of January is brutal right now, like for these programs. Like I feel bad for an Arizona fan because the portal's not open. All of your guys can leave for 30 days. You can't go get anybody. Like it just sucks the way this thing is set up. And I'm not saying the players shouldn't get to go. Their coach just left. The guy who recruited them just left. Like they should have the power to go and do these things. But for these fan bases, even Washington right now, it's like, okay, all your guys can leave, but there's nobody for you to go get because the portal doesn't exist. So it's just this landscape. Now you really see, if you look into this scenario, why a lot of these programs are firing coaches halfway through the year to get a head start on all of this. So you're ready to go when that portal opens and you can just go shopping, essentially. And neither one of these programs are going to be able to do that. I haven't kept track on what DeBoer is doing at Alabama. I do know that the Washington job is a lot more difficult now when you go into the Big Ten. We've seen these realignment options where it takes them a while to get going. I think Washington will be fine in the Big Ten. But good for Iowa, too. They play Washington next year. So this game just got a lot more attainable, I feel like, if Iowa wants to knock off the Huskies. I think that game's in
I don't know. To my last point on the hire,
let's see what happens.
Washington might be better this year because they went with Fish
because they'll
instead
get all
of
those Arizona
Grove.
players.
They need a quarterback. They might get one from Arizona.
Troy makes a good point. Troy's watching us on Facebook. Why didn't Dannon offer DeBoer an extension before the college football playoff? Who knows, Troy? That maybe he did. I do know. For a fact that DeBoer was offered $9 million plus. I don't know exactly how high that got to stay in Seattle, and he ultimately went to Alabama instead.
It was going to make him one of the top 10 highest paid coaches in the country. Look, I don't think any amount of money would have kept DeBoer there. You get a chance to go to Alabama. It's tough to turn down unless you are at Texas, right? Unless you are at a major top 5, top 10 program where you have things rolling already. Like, I think DeBoer saw it too. This was going to be a little bit of a rebuild. This was the perfect time for him to use what he's done in the last couple of seasons, more specifically this past season, and bolt. Because they were going to take a step back next year no matter what.
And Bama, clearly, we were debating this last week, like which jobs are better. Bama's clearly a better job than Washington. Washington's a really good job, but Bama, just with the recruiting and just the national recognition that you have. There's a podcast that I like to listen to. It's called the Joe Pomp Show. Do you know what I'm talking about? Joe Pompliano.
Joe Pomp? No.
Yeah, he's a sports business guy. Last week he went through and he tried to calculate how much Nick Saban has been worth to Alabama.
Jeez.
And he went through enrollment statistics and just how everything's grown under him. And the final number was that Saban's been worth more than $10 billion to Alabama over the years. And one of the points that he made was he was showing the out-of-state tuition that has gone up since Nick Saban became the head coach. And out-of-state tuition, they pay like 3 times more than in-state tuition. And their enrollment from out-of-staters is now higher than in-staters just because Bama is such a national football brand. And it was really fascinating stuff. But that's what DeBoer's walking into. Every kid in the country will take the Alabama coach's call. Not that in Washington it is tough. You're going into a new league. That's always hard. So I don't know. Do you think DeBoer will be great there? Because I think I could make the argument, and I don't know anything about DeBoer. You know more about him than I do. they weren't ever going to hire Lane Kiffin, but I could make the argument that would have been the perfect hire in the NIL era to go from old man Saban, who doesn't like all this, to a guy who is thriving. Ole Miss is going to be in the top 10 preseason next year. They 2 years in a row, they've had the best transfer portal class. I could make the argument that would have been the way to go for Alabama, was just bring Lane, and you're weakening one of your rivals in Ole Miss at the same time.
All I know about DeBoer is the guy just wins every level he's at, and like wins big, like national championship level everywhere he goes, and he's worked his way up. I mean, he took Washington from, I don't know what they were the year before he came, but they did not have even a winning record. He gets there. He gets his quarterback, Michael Penix. He gets 3 of the best receivers in college football. And a lot of this is grub, too. Let's keep in mind that offense. And they lost 2 games his first year. That's it. And then this past season, didn't lose until the national championship game. I mean, the guy can flat out coach. But you're right. Can he work the portal like Lane Kiffin? Probably not. Can he work it good enough? You're at Alabama.
You're at
Maybe.
Alabama.
We'll see. But the guy can flat out run a program.
Can't wait to watch. We only have how many days until next season? We do have basketball to get to. Let's do real quick our bigger, better, bolder with our friends at Kelderman Manufacturing while we're still on the topic of football.
Bigger, better, bolder. Powered by Kelderman Manufacturing.
Kelderman.com. Check them out for if there's engineers out there, everybody's always looking for laser cutting. That's what they specialize down there in Oskaloosa. Give our guy Jeff Kelderman and his team a chance to serve you. Big supporters of the show. We appreciate them. We'll let you go first, Hassel. Bigger, better, bolder. Who you got?
This one hurts. It really does. But I've got to give my flowers this week to Jordan Love. Almost perfect. He was 16 for 21, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and that just absolute steamrolling of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, in Dallas. This was a guy who, going into the season, the jury was just way out on. I mean, we had people saying that this guy doesn't even deserve this year to start, that he's just not good enough. I saw him play at Utah State. Several games I did of his. I did a game where he played against Josh Allen. I didn't see it. Like, I didn't see the potential for this. And as a Bears fan, it certainly appears as though the Green Bay Packers have done it again. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love, statistically, just had the greatest game for a Packers quarterback in playoff history. Throw Bart Starr in there as well. Nobody had a better game than Jordan Love just did against the Cowboys. And no one saw this coming. They're the youngest team in the league. No expectations. He struggled midway through the year and then just caught fire. So I got to give mine to Love. I look, Jared Goff's up there too. What he did last night, very similar situation. I mean, he's more of a vet, but doing what he did against the team that traded him away, God, some really great performances.
Yeah, I really glad that the Packers found another franchise quarterback. Those fans deserve it. You know, they've been in limbo for so long there.
It makes you sick, doesn't it?
It really does. Bears have all these picks. Packers and Lions both win play. I'm vomiting purple today.
Yeah, I saw that tweet last night. You got two teams from the NFC North are moving on in the playoffs. The other one has it all set up for the future. And then there's the Vikings.
I was thinking about that, though, how good that division is going to be in that, because the Vikings don't suck. Like,
no.
They're formidable. They were one win away from the playoff. without their quarterback. That division's brutal next year. I will go with the Detroit Lions for mine. One tortured franchise to another. They're more tortured than we are. I thought they would lose last night. I was on the Rams. Rams did cover. Not that any of you care about that. But like you see the statistics about how bad they've been, and it's really unfathomable if you think about how many first picks that they've botched over the years. It's just been really a horrifically run franchise. Detroit is not a sexy city to get free agents, and they win their second playoff game. I was happy for their fans. Like that sucks. I don't know how you could, like, at least as a Vikings and a Bear, we get teased. It's like, well,
yeah,
every 10 years you're going to make a run, and then your heart's going to get broken at the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Goes in a 10-year stint for the Vikings.
But to not even win a playoff game in 32 years, that was, look, we're almost 40. I don't even remember that game. Like, I was so young that I wasn't watching the NFL playoffs yet that season. I started watching everything that following year. That's the first time I have seen the Lions win a playoff game, and I'm almost 40.
The only reason I remember that game is because my dad's a Cowboys fan, and
old Mikey was rubbing his ass on the carpet after that one.
Yeah, he was not happy.
Just scooting his ass, just scooting that anus on the carpet.
So yeah, Lions fans more than the Lions themselves. Bigger, better, bolder. Good for you. There are people like crying last night because they won a wild card game.
Yeah, how about that 89-year-old guy that's been a season ticket holder for like 65 years?
Shout out to you. Matty Van Winks, what are you going with?
Man, we kind of talked about it, but basketball in the state this week, just, wow. The immaculate week, as we mentioned. And one player that really stood out, I mean, man, Audie Crooks for the Ohio State women's team she's becoming like appointment television to watch. I mean, she's not on the Caitlin Clark level, but man, as a freshman coming in from a small school in Iowa, she put up 22 against a ranked West Virginia team, 23 against Baylor. Man, they're not winning these games without her, and she's just a ton of fun to watch on the court. Just really impressed by her.
Yeah, and she has this contagious personality too, that she's got this big smile, and everybody just loves watching her play. So good pull right there. The immaculate weekend. All right,
we have two this week, right?
They got to be. Yeah,
I would think so.
Yeah.
5-0.
Got to do an honorary triple B from Kyle Miller.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dan Marburger, hero. Really, really sad to hear that he lost his battle 10 days after the Perry shooting. But I mean, the guy, not only by all accounts throughout his entire life, was changing people's lives, helping people, just being someone to be there for them, pillar of the community. But then in death, saving lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you wonder how much worse this could have been if Principal Dan Marburger didn't go up and try to speak with this young man, try to talk this young man out of doing what he did. How much time that might have bought other people to get out of the way. Clearly
tragic.
Dan Marburger goes down as a hero that we should never forget.
I don't think we will. The story is just it's incredible. It's incredibly sad. It is inspiring, and we don't do a lot of somber topics on this show, but this one is definitely deserving. So thank you for throwing him in there. We appreciate it. Let's do some Iowa State and Iowa basketball from the weekend. We mentioned the women's team. So the Iowa women were on Fox with Gus Johnson. I didn't listen to the call. It was on. I had a lot going on Saturday night in the Homestead. We had the Chiefs game. We had the Iowa State men's game. We had the Iowa women's game. We're all going on the 3 TVs. But I didn't pay a lot of attention to the Iowa women hassle because they just killed Indiana. They just routed them. It wasn't much of a game.
And I'm full disclosure here. I'm on the road in Kentucky, and the wife and I go out to like a sports bar because we want to watch the games, and every TV is on Peacock. So I didn't get a chance to watch this guy. I was checking in with the score, and
so you were just all over the cock then. That's what
it was. Yeah, it was just riding it. So I didn't see much of the game. I saw the highlights. I was following the score, and this was a no-doubter. And I'm going to say I was wrong. I didn't think Iowa would be this good this season. I thought that the losses last year, Sonano, I thought that was going to hurt them a lot more than it has. I didn't know if they were a legit top 3, top 4 team. It certainly appears as though they are now.
Luter's done a good job, I think. This has been a really good coaching job by her to get. They've kind of had to change their approach to offense just a little bit as far as the garbage points go. But yeah, and then Caitlin was incredible. Like the outrage about her just continues to grow too, and it's not just like Iowa State fans anymore. You're getting, Kim Mulkey sniped a comment at her over the weekend. Don Staley's been. I hope we're right with our thoughts on them and that they make a deep NCAA tournament run. Because God, I'd love to see them play LSU again. Wouldn't that just be appointment television?
Well, remember in the offseason, I was clamoring for that matchup.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of Iowa fans, well, they didn't want it for one specific reason, obviously, and that was because they didn't want it to become, what it did, which was kind of this race war.
Yeah,
but I heard from a lot of Iowa
racist
fans that were like, and we wouldn't even be able to beat them. Like, they're too good. They got all these people in the transfer portal. I don't know. They might be able to beat them. And maybe LSU doesn't get up for every game they get beat by Auburn, right? An unranked Auburn team. Maybe they would get up for Iowa a lot more. But, man, I want to see it. God darn it.
They'll be there.
I really want to see
at the
it.
end. Mulkey's annoying as she can be. She's a really good coach. They'll be there in the end. We're going to get the chances. The Don Staley stuff comes off.
These teams might have to meet up in the national championship game.
Yeah. Hopefully LSU's back enough and it can be a 1-2 seed in the same region. How sweet would that be? Oof. The Mulkey stuff, to me, and I've followed her forever, I'm not surprised because she's just like that. The Don Staley stuff just seems more hate driven. Like it's more ugly. It feels like to me. I've never been an African American female in her shoes, so it's hard to judge. But it seems very divisive. The stuff coming out of South Carolina. I hate the fact that if you're a Caitlin Clark fan, you're a racist. Is basically how some people are trying to portray it. We've seen a lot of that. It's ugly, and it's a great story, and I don't know why our society has to go there, but we do. So a great win for them.
And I see the same kind of outrage for people just so upset about Taylor Swift.
Oh my God, this drives me crazy.
It's just weird. And there's also outrage. There are some Iowa State fans who kind of play into this Caitlin Clark thing, there's still people ignoring what we're doing, even though we're what is with all the people just have to be outraged about something.
I don't get the Taylor. Maybe it's me. And
look,
when I watch these games,
I'm gonna be honest. I don't care for it. Okay, I don't care for. Oh, Taylor Swift's gonna be there. We're gonna show her, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't make me not want to watch the game. It doesn't make me hate her.
People have to realize she's one of the 5 most famous people in the entire world.
Yes.
Maybe one of the 3 most famous people in the world.
At this point in time, she might be the most famous.
I would say her and Donald Trump would be the 2 people who I would think are the most famous people I can think of in the world.
Yeah. And Steve brings up a good point. I'm actually outraged too. So I'm part of the problem because I'm outraged at the people who've been outraged about something. Yeah.
Well, my thing is when I watch a Chiefs game, I don't even really oh, okay. It doesn't I don't get like mad because she's cheering on her boyfriend. It's just bizarre behavior to me. But and I put out a tweet about this yesterday, and I got hammered for it. All these guys were just pissed at me, but I didn't even realize it. Like, it didn't feel like they even showed her that much on Saturday. And I'm not a Swiftie. I don't even like. I mean, I like her. She's fine. I'm not
I even
like this
said that
diehard
at
fan.
one point to my wife when it was the first half. Anyway, I didn't even know if she was there or not.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't glued to the screen because we weren't watching it at home. We were at a sports bar, so I might have missed it. It seemed like they showed her a lot more in the second half when the game was pretty much, handled. Is Van Wink muted?
Van Wink, you're muted. We can't hear you, buddy.
Sorry. I was going to say, if she was out sitting with everyone in the cold, maybe they would have appreciated her a little more instead of in the suite.
I would have loved to have seen that. Looked like Jack Nicholson in The Shining at the end of it. Just frozen solid.
I'll say this, too, on the Iowa State women. So they beat number 4 Baylor. They're 5-0. They're by far the youngest team in America.
Weren't they getting their ass kicked in the first quarter of that game, first half of that game?
They've been their last 2 games.
Or was it the end of the first quarter? They were down double digits.
They've been down double digits their last 2 games, and they come back and win. Like, this is one of the best stories in sports right now that nobody's talking about.
Well, see, there you go. Young. There you go again. That nobody's talking about.
Well, it's true. Like,
a lot of people are talking about it.
I'm talking about, like, this is a really good sports story.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I mean by it.
Listen,
they're so young.
I've heard some people get upset with, like, Keith Murphy for not talking about it enough. Like, give me a break.
No, I'm not doing that.
Keith's all over this thing.
No, I'm talking like this is a national, like a really cool story. If you go all the way back to last spring where they lost all these high impact players after winning the Big 12 tournament, everybody thought this was a rebuilding year, that you would hope to just not get embarrassed and that these young players can develop. Nobody thought that and if you look at their schedule now, they've taken care of a lot of their tough business. They could be like 7-8-0. Bloom was going through it last night with me that they may have the best start in the history of Iowa State women's basketball, and they're primarily playing 5 freshmen with 2 seniors. Like, it's wild. And I never thought that was a deal.
Van Wink, do you have the video? I don't know who posted it. Mark Freund, maybe, of Bill Fennelly leaving the court after that game.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. Like, just pure emotion. He's by himself running off the court. He's probably on the court doing an interview with either TV or radio, and he's excited to get into the locker room. The way once he fist pumps, he starts running, high-fiving, and then just hands in the air, ass flying every which way. I don't know how he didn't fall down.
I was thinking that when I watched it. I'm like, don't trip, coach. Don't, like, break your ankle. You haven't moved that fast in a long time, buddy.
It looks like Will Ferrell, like when he's streaking down the road in, what movie was that, Old School?
Yeah.
Just
pure joy. Just pure joy.
Yeah. Who would have thought? Yeah. Amazing.
Well, in this Iowa State women, they were a more experienced team last year, but they went down to Baylor and won too, which was pretty impressive. So,
Is Van Wink softer than we are? Van Wink sounds like he's whispering.
You're really
again.
loud today, Hassel. I don't know what it is, but
I'm really loud still?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I haven't touched my microphone in a year. It's you guys. It's zapped everything out of your microphones.
So then we have the men. Fine until right there you cut out, but you're good.
No.
You're good.
God damn it!
Literally just froze.
Yeah, it's actually been fine, and then you just cut out right when you said that. That's wild.
Incredible.
The Iowa men just rout Nebraska on Friday night. Where are you at on Iowa right now? Won some games here. Where are you at on them, Hassel? What are you feeling? Are they getting better, or is this a competition type thing?
I think we're, you ride with the ebbs and the flows, and they start 0-3, and people start thinking you're just absolutely terrible. And then you win a couple games in a row, and then people start thinking, wow, this is a tournament team again. It's kind of what I expected. I think this team is going to end up somewhere, maybe on the bubble. I don't think they'll make the tournament. I don't think they'll get a good enough. This team's so different on the road. Like you take them out of Carver Hawkeye, and they're different. And life on the road is tough. But I think they're going to beat some teams that you don't think they're going to beat at home. Now, they were favored by 4.5, 5 points against Nebraska. Were they not? This wasn't like some kind of upset victory, but it was the way they played. They made some adjustments in the second half. After building that huge lead early on, it looked like they might run away with it. Nebraska comes all the way back, and then adjustments are made, and Iowa just runs away in the second half because they got some really good play. I mean, that was, I don't know, was it the best game they've played all year? It might have been. Good win, but I thought it was a good spot. Like, Nebraska's coming off this victory over the number one team in the country.
Nebraska went there
a good spot
early, too, to beat the Snow. So they're sitting in a hotel for like 3 days in a row. Yeah, you nailed that on it being a good spot for Iowa. Iowa State improves to 2-1. They had a kind of the opposite situation, as Oklahoma State couldn't get to town because of the weather. This game actually had to be delayed a couple of hours start time.
You didn't even make it to this game.
I didn't. I had problems with, my wife had dogs keep getting sick even despite the snowstorm. So the vet clinic was open, and then getting a babysitter in the worst blizzard in 10 years is not the easiest thing in the world. So yeah, I didn't even make it up. But Iowa State was dominant. I didn't really miss much. This was just pure ass kicking of, it started off a little bit slow in the first 5 minutes, but this was a men versus the boys type game. Iowa State's 2-1. They have a big week, Chris, as far as this is like a seeding type of week, because you go to BYU tomorrow night, and then you go to TCU on Saturday. BYU's third or fourth in the net. I want to say TCU's in the top 30. Man, it feels like if you can even just get one this week, you'd just be thrilled.
Yeah, I think that's the goal. You get one. And I feel like it needs to be the BYU game.
Yeah, I don't think they'll beat TCU either.
I think they should beat BYU. Is there a spread out for that, or a projected spread?
I'll give you a projection. 1 second. They will probably be about a 3 to 5 point underdog.
Iowa State will be a 3 to 5 point underdog?
Yeah, to BYU.
Jeez. I would take Iowa State if that's the case.
Believe it or not, the TCU spread is looking closer to a 1 to 2 point underdog in that game.
That's interesting to me.
Surprising to me.
That's really interesting.
BYU is this weird analytical darling. It is bizarre.
Well, Iowa State's kind of an analytical darling, too.
No, they are too. Yeah, no doubt. But BYU is an elite, they're top 5.
Which is, it's ridiculous if you ask me. They're 1-2 in conference play. They lost at home to Cincinnati. They lost at Baylor, which is understandable, fine.
By double digits in both games.
But they did just win at UCF, a team that beat, who'd they beat? Kansas.
And then I think TCU's probably one of the more underrated. He's just good coach, man.
I think Iowa State will win at BYU and lose at TCU.
Okay. I'd sign up for that right now.
By the way, let the record show that Van Wink is really soft. Luke says Van Wink is softer than Sharman. Big T says Hassel sounds fine. Statty Van Wink sounds quiet to me. Don't go blaming this on me. I sound fine. It's Van Wink. He comes in here whispering again. He's probably got the kid, the baby sitting next to him with hoof and mouth disease trying to sleep.
Back. We'll see who's soft.
We'll see who's soft.
That's all I got for you guys today.
That's it?
We did the
You're gonna let us
weather.
go early?
Well, I mean, we did we got all the teams knocked out. We got our NFL in. I'm really depressed as a Vikings fan. Like, this is straight football hell the Vikings are in.
How do you feel about the state of New York moving the Bills game from yesterday to today?
I want my money back on my underbet.
Have you not gotten that back yet?
No.
See, that's BS.
Yeah,
because
it
you're
won't let
making
me.
that bet specifically because of the weather.
So now I'm locked in at like 33.5, and now it's back up to 38. I'm getting screwed on this.
This is bad. You have to make that right if you're a sports book. Now, at first I was disappointed, and I still am. I would have loved to have seen a game in those elements yesterday.
Would have been amazing.
It would have been awesome to see, but like that's not taking into account the safety.
No,
I think they made the right call. That looked. We have a crew there. We have a full crew there from CBS Sports HQ, and they were doing hits yesterday afternoon outside when the game was supposed to be taking place, and there's just no way people could have made it into the stadium.
No, they did the right thing. But as fans, like, there was this level of intrigue tuning into Arrowhead on Saturday night because the elements, right? Like, it's fun. That's why we like football this time of year, especially football in Buffalo. Right?
How do we think the games are going to go tonight?
I would play the Steelers at +10 if I had to on that game, because it's like, that's 10 points. Mike Tomlin, he's great as an underdog coach.
It's true.
Buffalo wins, and this game tonight, I don't really have a feel for. The Eagles have been so bad.
Yeah.
But the Bucks,
It's a weird
is Baker
game.
Mayfield playing? Like, I know he was questionable. I haven't seen the latest.
As far as I
report.
know, he is.
Okay. I'd seen he was questionable.
Questionable means you're going to play.
Okay.
He better
and
play.
then Hollywood Brown's out for the Eagles, so I don't know. I think low scoring and
Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, wide receiver.
You talking about A.J. Brown?
Yeah.
That's not
his
Hollywood
nickname.
Brown.
It's a different Brown?
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah, I thought they were the same Brown. They're not the same guy?
Hollywood Brown was the wide receiver for Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's the same guy, isn't
He
it?
was drafted by the Ravens. No.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was the same guy.
Are you?
I mean, that's serious. I always thought that was the same guy, that he just got traded
You
or
thought
something.
A.J. Brown was Hollywood Brown?
Yeah, I really did. Bummer.
Damn.
Peter wants to
didn't
know if two guys named Chris is going to future be exclusively on Peacock. Well, if the price is right.
Hollywood Brown, by the way, plays for the Cardinals now.
Does he really? I'll be damned. So he's really fallen off then.
Wait, Groovy Cap says, is Iowa winning today in basketball? Is Iowa playing a basketball game today?
At Minnesota.
That's tonight?
Yeah.
You're kidding me. Wait, who are we? I mean, Williams thinks A.J. Brown is Hollywood Brown. We don't even know that Iowa is playing a Big Ten game to try to win their third straight.
2.5 point dogs at Minnesota. 5 o'clock tip.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock
Okay.
tip, huh?
Okay. I like it. It's in Minnesota.
MLK Day's a good sports day today. Wow.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, it's like a full day of hoops. All
Why
over.
don't they do the NFL on MLK? I mean, they're going for ratings, I know, but there's not many people working today.
I am.
Well, I am too, but we're not normal.
Van Wink, are you working today?
No.
State holiday.
It's a state holiday. I've got
State
the
holiday,
day off.
man.
I'm going to be home with the kids. Breastfeeding.
I got to shovel my driveway.
Hey, Van Wink, I noticed you're not wearing the Death Trap hat anymore.
No, but I got my two guys named Chris shirt.
I love it.
Do we think, okay, Iowa's a 2.5 point dog going for the
I
third
don't
straight
know anything
win.
about Minnesota.
Minnesota, they're feistier this year. They are. Feistier.
You got to play Minnesota with Iowa's road record, right?
I don't know. I think Iowa wins the game.
I tell you what, they had a little swagger to them on Friday. They showed me a little something on Friday. So
Some swag. They win this, get back to 3-3 in conference. All of a sudden,
I hope so.
I think it's a game. If they're gonna challenge for a bid and get on the bubble, it's a game they have to win.
Well, it'll make our show more interesting. So
absolutely,
go Hawks. Yes. All right, let's get out of here. We appreciate all of you guys and gals who are hanging out with us this morning.
Some guy said that I was being so loud on the show that his wife yelled at him to turn it down.
Yeah, we got to figure out this mic problem after the show.
For Chris Hassel, for Matt Van Winkle, my name's Chris Williams. Thanks to Channel Seed for sponsoring the studio, Fareway Meat and Grocery, being our presenting sponsor as well. Here on Iowa Everywhere. Have a good MLK Day. Enjoy some time at home.